Are you watching SportsX? My name is Vineet Malhotra. Lots to talk about. Pakistan Cricket Board has sacked Sarfaraz Ahmed. There are two new captains, and of course that third and ultimate test match between South Africa and India will be played tomorrow at Ranchi. And to talk about more, we have Nikhil Chopra, former cricketer, with me in the studio. But first up, the big news. Pakistan cricket captain Sarfaraz Ahmed has been sacked as the Test and T20 captain of Pakistan. Sarfaraz has faced the axe after the team's dismal performance against Sri Lanka at home. Novice Azhar Ali has been chosen to lead in Test, while Babar Azam will be captaining Pakistan in T20s. In fact, this was, Nikhil, something that was waiting to happen for a long time. We all know what happened in the World Cup as well. Sarfaraz Ahmed and the way he conducted himself, even on the field, those visuals of him yawning are, in fact, what stays, for me about Pakistan.
Surprisingly, that picture of how we started the show goes to show, that India-Pakistan game, after him reacting the way he was, half asleep, yawning in the field of play, I thought he would have been asked to leave captaincy or sacked.
Have you ever seen something like this before?
No, never. And especially in
From
India-Pakistan. Forget about any international game, but in an India-Pakistan game, never.
That's blasphemy.
That is incredible. So,
right.
I'm a little surprised, but that this decisions come so late. But I guess in the interest of Pakistan cricket, this should have been done a lot earlier.
All right, Mr. Harpal Bedi is also with us in the studio. Mr. Bedi, what do you think of Sarfaraz Ahmed's sacking? First, let me complete my question, sir. It's a rhetorical question. What do you think of Sarfaraz Ahmed's sacking? Do you think that this was something that was done too late or too soon?
Now he has been humiliated. There was no need.
He got them the Champions Trophy in 2017.
Whatever he got, he's from Karachi. That is a big problem out there going to be.
What does that have to do with his captaincy?
Karachi, Lahore, Tassal. No, that is what I read. I'm not telling you my... because I'm specialist. No, this is what I have read.
No, but we want to know your views.
I will tell you the views.
You have to tell us if you...
He has been
This is the moment you have to tell us.
He should not have been made first of a captain. What he was saying. He should not. But when you made him, after 3 matches, because they lost to... They won against ODI series, but they lost T20 and then you sack him. Because everybody said, why we lost to...
But he was also responsible for taking Pakistan to the top of the rankings in T20
that is what I'm saying. You should not, as he rightly said, against India we lost. He should not have been made. But once you made him, give him respect. Now, if you start what people write, if on the basis of writing, then there would have been no Mahendra Singh.
Well, people forget that Pakistan won 5 out of those 9 matches in the World Cup as well. They lost They lost to New Zealand, 1 points.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a little surprised, but the pinnacle is that you'd want any captain to go out there and make sure that you lead your side well in a World Cup championship. I guess that's how you measure the captaincy.
I agree with Nikhil that he should have, the way he was yawning in the match, that is different. But once you have made him, after that, you can't sack him like this.
But do you think yawning should be constituted?
No, it was not. I'm just saying. I'm not saying.
Behavior?
Let us assume that one. But after that, you have forgotten that. And he's rightly said you have won 5 matches. The team which was not considered to win even 2 or 3 matches. They have won 5 matches. They were very near to the semi-final berth. And here you come. He wins the ODI series against Sri Lanka, but he loses T20 and you sack him.
But Bedi, to be honest, it's always been like that in Pakistan. Knee-jerk reaction, always.
I agree that.
Everything's worked on whims and fancies. There's been no logic when you talk about the Pakistani side. There was only logic when Imran Khan was the leader.
He was also illogical. He never bothered about anybody.
No, he never bothered about any selection.
Nikhil, you brought up Imran Khan's name. Do you think this also has something to do with the bit of advice Imran Khan had given him on Twitter, which he completely ignored for the match against India? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, possible. Without a doubt. At the end of the day, he has been Pakistan's most, prolific captain, the most successful captain. He knew a thing or two how to make sides and pick out the right sort of players. Bedi sir is absolutely right. He never thought of anybody else. It was only one-man show. And sometimes in a place like that, you need that sort of yardstick to make sure that you take decisions.
One good advantage in Pakistan is a very small country. This cannot happen in India.
No.
You just cannot think. You have players from Tamil Nadu, you have players from Mumbai. You cannot abuse. And he was a prolific abuser. The choicest Punjabi abuses was heard. And he never got along with Javed Miandar, simply because Javed Miandar was not able to speak in English. He's a very arrogant man. He's a class mein, there's a difference. That if you cannot talk to him, he always considered Javed Mian the ruffian. But he had a total disregard for Javed. And Javed never loved him also.
And
either.
to be honest, I think now the rest of the team will give a lot of respect to Babar Azam as well, because he's probably one of the better players in the side at that moment in time. And you need to earn the respect of the dressing room as a leader. That's an important part when you're going into a sport where everything's about the captain. Even the support staff takes second fiddle. Everything is about the captain. So you've got to earn the respect of a captain.
But first of all, they should remove this business of one selector, one coach. No, that's very important. Not suppose he's a boss. He's a program, he also is an anchor, he also is in charge of...
Well, they're going through an economic crisis, you know,
No,
so
everybody has to
double
it
up.
has nothing to do with economic crisis. You bring 3 or 4 players.
That was a pun, sir, actually.
No, I agree with you. But suppose you cannot make Nikhil producer, director, actor...
So I'll do a good job, sir.
You can actually.
I know, you can.
I'll do a good job.
But Nikhil, on a serious note, how much do you think this had to do with the expectations that the Pakistani purist had from Pakistan when after a long gap, a country came visiting to Pakistan to play cricket in Pakistan, and all they were met with was defeat?
I think that was the tipping point. To
Yeah.
be honest, you know, as a leader, when you got international cricket coming back into the country, everybody had that sort of expectations, because you would imagine Pakistan as a side, that T20, they would go out there and beat a Sri Lankan side. Absolutely. And Sri Lanka, on the other hand, we all said that some of the senior players were not traveling. So you thought of this is probably a Sri Lanka A team, which surprised the Pakistani side as well. I think that was the tipping point. That's a fantastic question that you bring about. So it was a humiliation as a nation as well, that you're returning back to international cricket and you lose 3-0. It wasn't a close game, it was a 3-0. It was a whitewash from the touring side, and everything was said. Even the Pakistani cricket board at that moment in time said that this is not the best side that is travelling to Pakistan. We're a little surprised. How can the Sri Lankan cricket board not tell their senior players to come and travel and play in Pakistan? But I guess that side was good enough.
But I have a question to ask for Nikhil, and that's really important. See, somebody wrote, and I was quoting that fellow, he said if Sri Lankan main team had come, India, Pakistan would have won. This is, he said, psychologically, when you never took this team seriously, if the main team had come, the whole thing would have changed. Like they play against India is different than playing against Zimbabwe. Same way, they are taking this team, which was not even B team. They took it so easily, and after thrashing them in ODI, they took them not seriously in T20, and this happened.
So to the point, Harpal sir, but to the point, coming back, if you as a captain of a side, you cannot take any opposition lightly.
Absolutely.
I think all the more reason that is not fact, which is
you agree with that is
complacency, right?
No, that proposition as a cricketer, that if the main team had come, they would have given a much. No.
To be honest, you know, there are far better experienced players as in the main team with that sort of experience. But in T20 cricket, the beauty is you cannot take any side lightly, because if you make a mistake, no matter how good a side, because the time duration of the game, it's very rare for a side that has a chance to make a comeback. Because blink of an eyelid, 120 deliveries gone. One player can change the course of the game. So it was complacent. And in that regard, I think the decision was absolutely correct.
But the writing was always on the wall, Nikhil, because even when they toured South Africa, they were whitewashed there as well, 3-0. When they played New Zealand in UAE, it was 2-1. So Sarfaraz, his own average, it's been 5 years since he struck a century in Test cricket.
Yeah, so as a leader on the side, when you got to hold your own.
Can something like this happen in India?
No chance. If your bat's not doing the talking,
you're doing the walking.
Exactly. It's never that fine. He's a fantastic leader. What you talk about credentials about how good a player is he? Oh, not that great, but he's a great leader. It doesn't work in sport.
Doesn't work that way.
No, Nikhil, for once, it worked. You lost 13 matches in a row, trot. At Dhoni, nobody was able to touch Dhoni. 13 tests in a row.
Well, he's got a valid point. Nikhil.
No,
you must
but how many of them we were travelling abroad? Okay, how many test matches we won before that?
No, you lost. It's in a travel or rut. You lost. No.
Okay.
But how many World Cups did Sarfaraz win?
If when
ODI and T20.
As you right, he had a point that this didn't happen. It used to happen. A sacking of captains. Bedi was dismissed. Krishnachari was humiliated. So many
But that brings us to another important point, that do we consider things in silos? If Dhoni lost 13 matches on a trot, he in fact was doing the talking with his bat. He was winning World Cups for us, and his own work behind the wicket.
No, you are changing the...
No, I'm just saying, should we look at things in silos?
Don't do that.
No, sir, the discussion is, as a player, is Sarfaraz good enough to be in the side?
My point is not about Dhoni. My point is, should we look at things in silos?
India, Pakistan are two different. It's a huge country. You have to take so many factors in it. It's not like this that Nikhil decides and who is to go there or not. It is a very complex country here.
Okay, but now, Nikhil, they have two new captains. Overnight, they have two new captains. They have Pakistan.
And I think I will know whether India will also have one captain, extra captain, either T20 or ODI.
Breaking news.
This, not breaking news.
Benny Paji's got the inside news.
No inside. It has nothing to do with
So who's the second leader also?
Rohit Sharma will be there.
Okay, well that's prophecy that we will in fact make sure that we play when this happens, Mr. Bedi. But Nikhil, Pakistan has two new captains overnight.
No comparison. No comparison in Pakistan. No comparison in Pakistan. I don't think Pakistan is worth comparing.
No. I'm not comparing. This is an independent question.
Put it this way, Vineet. When you've changed captains, when a side has hit rock bottom, you make that change and say the change is going to be probably for the good. In terms of Babar Azam, of course, he's a fantastic player. He's the man for the future of international cricket. Hopefully, he can go out there and do justice to the talent with the kind of games and set of skills that he has. He'll do well. And he earns the respect of the dressing room as well. Now, for a leader, it's very important. When you become the leader, how good are your other players as well? It's very important. There was a time when John Buchanan was the coach and Steve Waugh there. But you look at that side as well. If that coach was as good as everybody's portraying out to be, let him be the coach of Zimbabwe today. And can he turn things around? So you need a skill set of good players at that moment and time as well. Because as a leader, you're as good as your team as well. But it's important how you handle the team, even if your skill sets are not the greatest, but in terms of strategy, can you elongate certain games?
No, but Nikhil, what was the provocation or the idea of making this statement that you have been doing very well, fantastically well, but you have lost 7 international tournaments. You have not won any tournament. This is, I'm quoting Ganguly.
Saurav Ganguly.
I'm talking about Ganguly. That no, that day, before yesterday when he was at the airport, that we have been doing very well. That is it.
Well, he's pulled up Kohli. He's saying that why haven't we
won? Pulled up, but he never said this. He said we are doing very well. He's a diplomat par excellence.
But we haven't won any ICC tournament.
Yeah, we haven't, because the record that Mahendra Singh Dhoni has, it's incredible. You look at the Test Championship, you look at the T20 World Championship, you look at the World Cup as well. So all 3 ICC trophies, the Champions Trophy, the 4 trophies that he's won, he is India's most successful captain without a doubt, because he's been able to go out there and win multinational tournaments.
Sure, exactly. In fact, when we talk about Dhoni and Pakistan, it's like comparing apples and oranges. But Nikhil, what kind of a message does this send to the 2 new captains? On one hand, they must be very happy and proud of the fact that they're going to be captaining Pakistan, but there is going to be a Damocles sword hanging over their head.
See, to be honest,
because they don't want to meet the same fate as Sarfaraz.
Yeah, absolutely. But we need, sometimes behind the scenes, you don't know what happens is, as a selector or the Pakistani Cricket Board, as a senior member of the side, as a leader, was he not listening to the board, or was he not listening to the coach, or was he not listening to the chairman of selection committee? Was there, conflict in terms of thought process of what team to play, what not? Was he answering back? So the best answer to that is, let go of the senior. Let's make one of the junior guys as captain, and he will go out there and toe your line.
He will listen to Misbah.
Right. Exactly.
He will listen to Wasim Akram.
So he will toe the line.
And even Sarfaraz Ahmed, we were talking about Saurav Ganguly, picking on the reins of BCCI as the president. Even Sarfaraz Ahmed refused to play in domestic cricket. Recently, the Quaid-e-Azam Trophy is in fact underway, where Azhar Ali and Babar Azam have
hardly any money involved.
He doesn't play those matches.
He said there is no money. Is going there and you are not getting proper money, and then what problem is that they have reduced it to 6 teams. This Quaid-e-Azam Trophy. Imran Khan one day had, he's also Tughlaq Imran Khan. He said, why do you have so many teams? Now you have a country of 20 crores and you have only 6 teams. They have abandoned all the interdepartmental teams. There's a state team. Now 6 teams are there. You decide what you are there. There's a lot of chaos there. Pakistani is very difficult country to understand what they think. Now, he said, it is my way, only 16 will play. Now, make 16, Punjab, South Punjab, Balochistan, these are then Sindh and all that. So how to understand what? And other people are crying that these are the railways, or they had Pakistan PIA or Habib Bank, all of this. They had 12, 20 teams. Players used to get a job. The importance of the cricket is also getting a job. But Saurav Ganguly is insisting that class 1 or class 2 players who are not playing test, but they will get remuneration. Why is everybody supporting Saurav Ganguly? Because not everybody is going to play test match. At least we'll get the money if you are playing Ranji Trophy.
Right, Nikhil, how does this augur for Pakistan as a cricket team? This sea of change that has happened in the last few days. How will in fact it play out in the next few days? Is it good that they have two different captains for two different formats? Is it conducive that they have a one man who's also the coach as well as the selector?
Well, I don't know what the thought process is that you want one coach and as chairman, because if he's not answerable to anybody else,
exactly.
And as I can tell you as a former selector as well, it's good to have 4 other selectors in that meeting as well, because you bounce off ideas.
Sure.
You bounce off, either you get convinced or you are able to convince the other party, and that's a healthy debate. Now here's a man who could go out there and pick players on whims and fancies, but whose neck is on the line? Is the captain. Because you let go of a senior guy in Sarfaraz, maybe he wasn't listening to the coach and the chairman of selection committee. That's why you made a youngster. Because youngster, anybody would be thinking, I need to think about my career and say, all right, fine. But by the time he understands, it might be too late.
But there is a complicated situation in PCB. You have appointed Wasim Akram as a bowling coach. Now, Wasim Akram is far ahead of Misbah. No comparison. Even if we have an Indian, we say Wasim Akram is a legend. Now, you have made him only bowling coach. This fellow is a chief coach and a chief selector and everything.
I think, sir, Harpal sir, he would only be a consultant. I have a feeling he would not be traveling with the team also because he is busy.
Traveling. Yeah.
Then why not Wasim Akram as the head coach?
Not travel. Oh, yes. That is
that's actually a very fabulous point. You have somebody like Wasim Akram who's part of
and
he
also commands a respect.
Right.
Unless people know that he is a match fixer. That's also a big problem.
All right, okay, well, that's Pakistani cricket for you, and Sarfaraz Ahmed is no longer the captain of Pakistan, and his future as a part of this particular outfit is also under a lot of scrutiny and a lot of doubt.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.